Now for a glimpse of ag around the world, President-elect Trump has announced who he would like to serve as his top trade official during his second term, nominating Jamieson Greer to serve as U.S. Trade Representative. The 44-year-old is no stranger to the Trade Representative's office. During Mr. Trump's first term, he served as Robert Lighthizer Chief of Staff. He most recently worked as a partner on a law firm's international trade team. Mr. Trump also named former aide Peter Navarro to his trade team. He would serve as senior counselor for trade and manufacturing. Mr. Trump say Navarro will be responsible for helping, quote, successfully advance and communicate the Trump manufacturing, tariff, and trade agendas, end quote. Navarro served 4 months in prison after being held in contempt of Congress for defying a subpoena from the House committee related to the January 6th riot on U.S. Capitol. And the president-elect's threats to impose tariffs on goods coming in from Canada and Mexico to stop drugs and illegal immigration had leaders of both those countries speaking recently with Mr. Trump. Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau traveling to Florida to meet in person with the president-elect at his Mar-a-Lago estate. The two leaders had dinner together, which lasted about 3 hours. It's reported the discussion covered a wide range of topics, including trade, border security, defense, and Ukraine. The president-elect also having a conversation with the new president of Mexico. Mr. Trump saying on his site Truth Social that Claudia Sheinbaum had agreed to stop migration through Mexico and into the U.S. He says they also talked about what can be done to stop illegal drug inflow in the U.S., calling it a productive conversation. But Sheinbaum, speaking after the conversation, rejected Mr. Trump's assertion that she agreed to close the southern border during the call, saying on X, quote, Mexico's position is not to close borders, end quote. Sheinbaum said after speaking with the president-elect, she is confident a tariff war with the United States will be averted. Agriculture should expect an aggressive trade agenda to return under a second Trump administration. That was the message from President-elect Trump's ambassador to China, Terry Branstad, at the recent Agricultural Retail Association's annual meeting in Houston, Texas. Farm Journal's Clinton Griffiths spoke with Branstad.
The former governor of Iowa speaking plainly about what to expect from the next Trump administration.
I know people are concerned about the tariffs, but the fact is he looks at the tariffs as a way to get their attention and eventually to get better trade agreements, fair and reciprocal agreements.
As ambassador to China during the first Trump administration, he had a front row seat to the trade negotiations that ultimately yielded a Phase 1 agreement.
I believe that Trump will try to do as he did before, get their attention through the tariffs, and he's doing the same thing with Canada and Mexico, but then try to work out a trade agreement and that's fair and reciprocal. And the key there is it's got to be a win-win situation.
Branstad says he expects the administration to continue its focus on trade with China, including taking steps beyond that Phase 1 deal.
You think they'll work toward a Phase 2 or continue?
I think so. That was the intent when we agreed to the Phase 1 agreement, and the problem was there wasn't the support in China to go the extra mile and do the other Phase 2. But I know that the Trump team wanted to do that, and had he been reelected at that time, I think they would have pursued it.
Now, according to USDA, in 2023, China was the largest market for U.S. ag exports, accounting for 17% of the total. They're also a significant supplier of inputs such as fertilizer and crop protection products. Leaders with ARA admit trade is high on their list of things to watch in the new administration.
I understand that the president's trying to level the playing field and punish the people that have been taking advantage of the global trade rules, but we've got to make sure everybody understands the consequences of using that particular tool and what the ramifications will be when it comes back around.
Regardless of the concern, Kopic knows the industry shouldn't expect the status quo.
Biden did nothing for 4 years, and so I think that we're going to see a much more aggressive approach taken. Some people are fearful of that. I actually think it's a good thing. I think it will lead to a more fairness and reciprocity in terms of trade.
Well, that's a glimpse of ag around the world. President-elect Donald Trump's tariff threats are creating uncertainty for Canada's economy. But what is the sentiment across Canada heading into Trump's second term. Sean Haney of Canada's Real Agriculture Radio joins us from here at the Milk Business Conference next.